So much for sharing all your information. Before I start this webinar at Royal Roads, we always like to acknowledge that we Royal Roads University live, learn, and work on the traditional lands of the Esquimalt and the Stonehenge ancestors, and we are very grateful of being sharing this land. Of course, currently we are going through a pandemic and we are not working at Royal Roads University. Every person is working from home at Royal Roads because we have been trying to adjust as things are evolving. So we are very grateful and the opportunity to work in these lands when we are able to go back to campus. So at Royal Roads University, we have been working for the last 25 years. We were created 25 years ago, and we have created with the mandate of create a university for working professionals so people will be able to keep working at the same time as they go back to school. The idea was to create a very flexible model that gives us the opportunity to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep challenging ourselves as things were evolving. We're very grateful that we have been doing online learning for the last 25 years, as well as blended as on-campus learning. So once the pandemic arrived, we had that knowledge and experience to help people to navigate through the education and learning experience that they were doing. Here in this slide, there's a samples of the different places that we have on campus. So we have the Cali Castle, the Esquimalt Lagoon, the Charlie's Trail, as well as a picture of our students working and studying online. Currently, most of our students are in that online learning model. Everybody's working from home, studying from home, and we are looking forward in the near future to welcome students back into the campus. Royal Roads University is also a CHANGEMAKER campus. What that means? That means that we have received this credential because we are a university that is an entrepreneurial university, that our programs are designed for people to help them to deal with the current challenges in their communities. We are providing a framework of knowledge and structure for people to be able to navigate those challenges and grow as a community. If you want to learn more about the CHANGEMAKER campus, Ashoka, I highly recommend it to do it. We are joining around 25 institutions across Canada, and Royal Roads was the first institution that offers an online learning and blended model in this group. So today we are going to be talking about the MGM MBA dual degree. So I'm joining this session with a few people. The first person that I would like to introduce is Dr. Charles. Charles, over to you.
Hello, yes, I'm Charles Krusekopf, and I'm the program head for the MBA program. And then I also teach in the area of international business and international learning. And I take student groups abroad and teach classes related to Asia, particularly, and take student groups to Asia and also Europe, and with some of our partner universities in both Asia and Europe. So welcome, and I'll be talking more later about the MBA program.
Thanks, Charles. And we're also joined by Dr. Deb. Deb, over to you.
Thanks, Andrea and Charles. I am program head for the MGM program. And I like this title, dual degree, double up your business education, because that would be a description of my journey. My background is primarily in executive leadership in the financial industry. But then I doubled up in the social sciences. My doctoral studies are in intercultural leadership, focusing on integration in the workplace. Because I would say social science, business is psychology. So I typically teach the first foundation classes, intercultural studies in the MGM, and the last, the research and business analytics. So lovely to see everyone. It's so exciting. We've got, from Ecuador to Bangladesh to Winnipeg. So looking forward to a chat today.
Thank you, Deb. And I haven't introduced myself. My name is Andrea Torres, and I work in the student recruitment team. I'm also a graduate from the MGM program, so I'm very glad to be here today. I'm learning actually more about this dual degree, so that might be an option in my near future.
True enough.
So the agenda for today, we are going to welcome everyone. So now you know who we are and we are here. And I have seen a few people join us in the chat box and sharing where they're joined us from today, but please feel free to add any other information that you feel comfortable with. For example, which industry are you working? Are you based in Canada or are you abroad? Are you a current MGM or alumni from the MBA program? Or are you looking into join one of those programs in the short period of time? So please feel free to add any of that information in our chat box. And the only reason that we do this is because we like to get to know each other. You will find that at Royal Roads is very common that people are curious about who you are, why you are here, and how we can support you to move forward in the near future. After that, I'm going to pass over to Charles and Deb that are going to talk more about the MBA and MGM dual degree. And at the end, I'm going to pass over to me again. I'm going to talk about the application process and the requirements. If you have any questions in the meantime that we're exploring this session, please feel free to type those questions in our chat box, and we will make sure that we're covering them as we go. So over to you, Charles and Deb.
Okay, did you want to advance first slide there?
Okay, yes. Thanks,
you.
everyone. So we'll talk a little bit first about the MBA. So the RRU MBA program is a blended program where we have, in normal times, a couple of residencies on campus that would last 2 to 3 weeks on campus, and then we have online classes. And the program is designed for people who are working full-time while they're taking the program. And the program itself is 51 credits long. As I say, you do some of those classes, you come on campus and do a 3-week residency at the start of the program, and then you're online, and you can complete the program either in 18 months by doing the online classes a bit faster, 2 at a time, or you can stretch that out because of work demands. Some people want to do the program in a longer time and do the program over 31 months. So our MBA program, and we'll talk about admissions requirements later, requires at least 7 years of work experience, and really is a very experienced cohort of people and managers who are in the program. So right now, our program and our next intake in January will be online because we haven't resumed our on-campus programs yet, but we hope to start the blended program with the on-campus residencies later in 2021 and then further into the future. So Deb, I'll let you introduce the MGM program.
Thanks, Charles. And just watching the chat here, it's just great to see, the geographic diversity coming in. That's wonderful. And that's typical of the MGM program. So as you can see here, 42 credits. Our program is structured in quarters. We take the first year, 3 courses at a time. These are core foundational courses, and then followed by a completion option. So in terms of the delivery, we have lots of flexibility, different delivery options. We have a 12-month program and an 18-month program in the on-campus delivery. If you were doing the 12-month program, that's pretty rigorous. You'd be doing all your core courses plus your completion option at the same time. The vast majority of our students do the 18-month, which is lots of fun. It's a cohort program. You do your classes together for a year and then go into a research or internship piece later. And then we also have a blended delivery. So for people who are working professionals and can't come onto campus, it's designed most of the courses online and then bookended with a residency at the beginning of the program and a residency at the end. And that second residency is typically an international residency where we take the team abroad. And very exciting. And that's a 19-month program. So lots of flexibility for everybody's requirements. Our on-campus program qualifies for a 3-year postgraduate work permit as well. So features of a dual degree, and over to you, Charles, to talk about MBA, and then I'll follow in with MGM.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the ways. So the idea of the dual degree is that there is some overlap in curriculum between the 2 programs. So whether you're doing the MBA or the MGM, you'll take some courses such as accounting and finance and marketing that are very similar across the two programs. And so the idea of the dual degree is that you don't have to retake all of those courses when you do the second degree. And so we're getting feedback from someone, if you could please mute your mic. So in terms of the MBA program, as I said, you need at least 7 years of postgraduate work experience. And the average age of people in the program is in their late 30s. So therefore, the people in the program have a lot of work experience, have a lot of leadership skills and management experience within their organization. So it's a very experienced group of people. And it's something that really forms a cohort of people, of peers across industries, across Canada, and around the world that you can connect with in terms of building up your own personal networks and leadership skills. So Deb, on the MGM program.
So, I mean, we also feature many of the core functionalities, the business topics, but what differentiates the MGM is that international focus, and now more than ever, so relevant. My goodness, when we consider our global interdependencies, we see sort of the global geopolitical shifts. It's been leading to some very rich discussion in the classroom, and just how that presents management and leadership challenges. So it's a great program that way right now. Also, I would say that because of that international focus, we're really zeroing in on a global mindset and building our intercultural competencies so that we can be very effective in that environment. And for those students who are coming to us internationally, they're also going through acculturation into the Canadian landscape. So we're learning how to become bicultural. And I would say that our students are what I would call early professionals. So we require, 2 to 3 years work experience, flexible admissions, but the real flavor of it is that rich discussion. Because typically in the on-campus program, we might be represented by, upwards of 16 countries. So interesting. And even in our blended program, a lot of people have a background that they're drawn to this international component of it. So lots of rich discussion around our multicultural experiences and our career professionals.
Yeah,
so if you could
go.
Were you going to say something more, Charles? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, as I work with the international business aspects, and I used to work with the MGM program very directly.
Yes.
And so, that international piece, there are some international aspects in the MBA program, such as I said, we have a Asia Pacific specializations or a specialization focused on Europe that allow you to travel to those locations. But the way the MGM program really has the intercultural piece and the international students and component built into the whole program. So that really makes them different in that way and adds an additional element.
Very different and very fun and vibrant. Thank you, Charles. So moving forward then, we're really proud of this because it's the first ever dual degree at Railroads, and we think it delivers tremendous value. So here you're advancing yourself personally and professionally, and you get 2 credentials. And actually, I would say it's even more than that because you'll get 2 master degrees, but you might also be adding some specialization options on that will give you additional accreditations. So tremendous value there. So what gives it this extra, savings around tuition cost and time is that through the dual degree, we're able to take out 1/3 of this sort of overlapping content that are business functions and overweight that into the specialization. So in essence, you could hack our curriculum, if you will, and self-design the things that you're interested in at the end of your program in terms of leveraging your graduate education into the specialization. So doubling up, tripling up, lots of pragmatic benefits and educational benefits, I would say. So if you could advance for us, Andrea. So let's dig into, what the dual degree looks like in a little more detail and the path. And that I think Charles was going to speak to this.
So this is just, we thought we would create a few of these slides that really talk about the pathway. So some of you guys have already applied and maybe been admitted to the MGM program, or students who have already who have been applied to MBA, and you're wondering, okay, can I do, or you're thinking about applying, and how would this work? So basically, the way that it's structured is you apply and you're accepted to the first program. So let's say you've been accepted to the MGM program, you come to Royal Roads, and then you take most all of the courses in the MGM program. So at Royal Roads, our programs are in cohorts. You would enter with a cohort of students and then move through the classes of that program with your cohort. And then while you're in the program, you can then apply to the second program. And you can apply and you can decide whether you want to take the second program immediately after, basically as you're finishing the first program, or you can take a break. And so we have several alumni. I see from the chat box, we have several alumni who have already completed their MGM or already completed their MBA. And this offer is really open to you in the future as well, that you can come back. But for people who are just thinking of applying to Royal Roads or have already been accepted to MGM, you come, start your program, move through that program, and then you can apply and move to the second program. The next slide, please. So yeah, so then this is current students. So if you're already in MGM, you're already going through the program, you can then apply for the MBA while you're in the program. And basically we'll use your profile and your grades and all from MGM as part of your application into the MBA program. And we're going to reiterate this a few times. The two programs have different admissions requirements. So just make sure that you meet the admissions requirements of both programs. What we do is we transfer credit. So if you've taken the MGM, if you've already taken finance, accounting, and other classes in MGM, then you'll transfer those credits and those classes into the MBA program, and you won't have to take those classes in MBA. So you'll finish the MBA program in a shorter period of time than you otherwise would if you're taking the whole MBA program and taking all of those courses. I think the next slide is on an alumni example. So if you've already graduated and you want to come back, and you can be a graduate of either program, we have the pathway in place for people who are graduates of either program to come back into the second program. And basically for this, and for all of these, contact an admissions advisor who will guide you through the application process. We already have some of your material on file, and that's for current students or alumni. But would ask for a bit of additional information in terms of your updated resume and personal statement. And then you can come into the second program, and you'll start with just the cohort at the beginning of the second program, but you won't take all of the classes in the second program. You'll take just those classes that are unique to each program. And so we have a few slides that show some of those classes across the programs.
Okay, so let's diving in a little bit further, and I'm just sort of being distracted by the lovely chat going on here too. So we'll catch up to those a little bit later. But if you look at MBA separately and MGM separately, that you could be doing 93 credits. When we combine for the dual degree, it's about a third less, 66 credits. And what we've designed is pulling out the very unique courses in each program that are characteristic of the flavor of the degree, and looking at what core subjects, that are overlapping. And so we've got those core courses that we will talk about in the next few slides, and then layering on a research project that you could do either in the MGM or the MBA, and then a specialization such as a graduate certificate or other courses. And I'll speak about that a little bit later. So let's get into some more details. So these are the 5 courses, but 18 credits that you must take in the MBA program. And if you just kind of glance down, at the titles, you can see that the flavor is there, that it's all about leadership, executive leadership, and, in the context of management, and, having a deep dive into those concepts. So you should be coming out of that program with some excellent skills and capabilities. If we go forward, Andrea. And then, looking at MGM, here are the 6 courses or 18 credits that you must take within MGM. And again, you glancing down, you can see the characteristics. You've got your intercultural studies, things like business operations and supply chain management, which is fascinating in an international environment. The MGM offers the research methods and business analytics, which is a neat focus. And so there are very specific courses within MGM and these, that you are required to take. But if we go forward, here's where you see the overlap. So these are the courses that you could be taking either in MGM or MBA, and where that built-in flexibility is there for you. Although, as Charles has said, normally you would have a sort of a sequential path. And you could see, these common sort of foundational business skills like accounting or finance, strategy, that are quite similar between the 2 programs. So if we go forward, I want to just zero in a little bit more on, you've taken those core courses and now you are going to self-design, finish off with a research project and a specialization. So in the research project, that could be the OMP, Organizational Management Project, or the GMP, Global Management Project, or the MGM internship. Plus a specialization. So we've got so many options here. These could be graduate certificates. I think by last count, we have upwards of 26 different graduate certificate programs at railroads, everything from project management. Charles mentioned one of the ones that he hosts is the APTI, Asia Pacific Trade Initiative, which is a trip abroad, in Asia Pacific and focusing on trade. So climate change, human resources, leadership, lots of different options to really allow you to leverage up the education and be strategic about what you want to get out of your degree. So it's nice to be able to layer on those aspects. So, a dual degree, it's a proven offering. So we wanted to highlight that, it's not a new thing, and that we see universities offer that, both globally or domestically within Canada. And it's really for students who want that additional accreditation and differentiation without starting over. So, we have this ability internally here to create these hybrid models. So if you wanted to do some comparison or look at other programs, even in Canada, there are 22 universities that are offering these dual degrees. And I just highlight a couple of examples. For example, the Monk School at University of Toronto has MGA and MBA, Manager of Business Administration, Manager of Global Administration combined. UBC has one with a flavor on Asia Pacific. Wilfrid Laurier has one with a flavor on MBA plus Masters of International Public Policy. So that's more of a governance thing. So they all have their flavors depending on the specific, I guess, focus of those universities. But it's a proven offering, and we've seen great interest in it. And we can't take all the credit, Charles, right? Because how did we get started with all of this? It actually came from you, from the students who were saying, oh, hey, have you ever thought about, combining these things? I want both an MBA and an MGM. And so we're happy to deliver on that and excited about the program. So if we could go forward, the next slide. So I'll let Charles talk about, from an alumni focus.
Yeah, and as I said, we have a number of alumni who have are in the room here, or who will be watching this in the future, and who have inquired. So you can be an alumni of either program, and then come back later. And we don't have a time limit. You can come back 1 year later. You can come back 3 years later. Or a few years later after that. The MGM program has been around for about 5 years. And so there have about 1,000 alumni now who have graduated from MGM. Many of those are international students who came to Canada, who completed the program and are now in their period of their working in Canada, and often looking for another degree, and excited to come back and use some of their experience that they've had and their experience in MGM to rejoin and get an MBA from Royal Roads. Our MBA program at Royal Roads is only offered in a blended format currently. And so the students in that program have been primarily domestic students within Canada. But we have over 2,000 alumni across Canada and across the world. I mean, they're working around the world. And we've been offering that program for 20 years. And so a really rich group of people. And I see a few MBA alums in the audience. And this is a chance the MGM, as they say, really enhances and offers that deeper intercultural piece, and allows you to come back and complete those aspects of the program without retaking some of the aspects of the MBA program that would be basically common in terms of the courses across MBA and MGM. So the program is designed so even if you're, again, if you're an MGM, you're applying to MGM, you're going to take the program, you can then have time to think about it after you're in the program, or even after you graduate. This offer is open. Don't panic. You don't have to double apply for everything right at the start. The offer remains open to you. You can be an alum and come back and complete the second degree later. Okay. So that's, in terms of a pathway and that you can apply prior to starting either program. And you would go through a separate application process for each program to make sure that you meet the requirements of each of the programs. Now, there are some common materials, and your admission advisor can talk about that, but like, you will not resubmit all of your transcripts from your previous schools and other materials that will remain in your, on file with Royal Roads, so that it's much faster to apply to the second program once you've applied to the first one. But we do want, some of your thinking and your statements around why it is you wanted to take a second program. If you're an alum, again, we already have a lot of materials on file, but then we would ask for some updated materials in terms of your resume and personal statements and other materials. So you can apply again after you start the program. You can apply after you become an alum, or a few of you are probably thinking about, well, can I basically pre-qualify and apply at the time to both programs when I apply to Royal Roads? That is possible, but it's not necessary. It's probably better to come, get established in one program. You're going to take most of that program before you transfer to the second program. So you have time. If you're in MGM and you're in the on-campus, you'll have over a year before you need to even think about applying to MBA, because you'll just be taking the courses in MGM before you transfer to the second program, and the same for MBA. And I did see the question, how long does it take? Again, it depends if you're doing these sequentially, or you want to take a gap and take a break and go out and work for a few years and then come back to the second program. But if you're taking them, the second program, I would say, will take about an additional 12 months. That's probably the easiest way to say it. It depends a bit on your completion option that you choose and the exact timing of the courses, but roughly an additional year in addition to the first program that you complete. Yes, Laura, that would be approximately correct. So in 18 months, you would basically, so if you did MGM or MBA in the 18-month format, you would be able to move through that program, and then you could start the the second program after that, and it would take you about 12 months to do both the courses and whatever the completion option in the second program.
I'm just looking back on some of the chat too. So
and
how
I'll say
to
a lot of people, and even if that's what right now you think that's what you want to do, again, a lot of times people then, when you kind of come to the end of that 18 months of that first program, you're a little bit tired, you've run a long race, and you say, okay, I want to work for a year or two. And the MBA program is a blended format intended for people who are working full time. So therefore you can come back, you can continue to work. You can start to work after you graduate, say from MGM. MGM also has a blended option. You can start to work and then take that while you're continuing to work full time. So.
And that kind of answers Alaska's question, because in MGM you could be on campus or online.
And currently for MBA, it's only the blended format, meaning short residencies and online courses.
Thank you, Charles and Deb. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Deb.
No, it's over to you.
And I forgot at the beginning to mention two very great people that have been helping us in this chat. So if you haven't met yet Kelsey or Tracy, Kelsey works in the international enrollment team, and Tracy works in the domestic enrollment team. And they will be the best people to connect with if you have specific questions about your application or the admissions process. I know they have been helping us on the chat box, so thank you so much, Kelsey and Tracy, for your help. I have seen a lot of questions coming into the chat box. A lot of them has been answered already, but at the end I'm going to walk you right now how to apply. And at the end, we will walk and answer some of those questions that is still on the chat box. So the application process. So as Charles has mentioned a few times, we want to make sure that people understand that for the MBA and the MGM, the admission criteria is slightly different. And for each of the program, people have to have that criteria to be able to apply. So let's say for the MBA, we are looking for 7 years of work experience versus the MGM that we are looking for 2 years of work experience. So I'm going to explain in a little more detail how that will look for each of the programs. And also students might be able to apply in advance at the start of the representative programs for approval of the dual degree with no obligation of continuance. So maybe you are thinking now, you're super excited, you want to apply to that option, you can do it now. And if life change, you are more than welcome to change as things evolve. So for the MGM admissions, so we are looking for 4 years of undergrad degree or comparable. As people are coming from different countries, that might look slightly different from where you are. So that is the reason that we say or comparable for a recognized post-secondary institution. Normally we're looking for 2 years at least of full-time relevant work experience with 3 years at the management level and increasing levels of responsibility. So we want to see that progression on your career as you are moving into the workplace. And into this program, we have something, or every program at Royal Roads, we have something that we call flexible admissions. And what that means is basically we look into that combination of work experience and education, and we'll be assessing each person as each of us have a different career path. So for those people that are considered flexible admissions, applicants normally will have at least 10 years of full-time business-related work experience with increasing levels of responsibility or a similar combination of undergrad studies plus work experience. And I see we have, Adam have raised your hand. So Adam, maybe if you want to type your question on the chat box and I will make sure that we answer your question. For the MBA, so once again, we are looking for 4 years of or comparable undergrad degree from a recognized post-secondary institutions. And normally we're looking for at least 7 years or full-time relevant work experience with 3 years at the management level and increasing levels of responsibility. Once again, for the MBA program, we have the option coming through flexible admissions, and we are normally looking for a 10 years of full-time business-related work experience for increasing levels of responsibility. Charles or Deb, anything that you would like to add into the requirements piece, something that you would like to highlight from your experience of the students, what we see in our programs?
No, I think you covered it off nicely. Thank you, Andrea. There was an earlier question about what if your undergrad is in an unrelated field? I mean, certainly we've seen that happen before, and sometimes that's strategic. You're looking to transition your career, or you just want to learn more. And so we just look for that justification in the learning statement as well. The main thing is we want you to be successful in your program, and that you'll be able to, keep pace with other people. And so our admissions officers have the best knowledge of how that might work, but apply.
Yeah, and I see there is a question about the IELTS criteria. So if you're an international student, there's a few options for you. And I'm just going to ask my colleague Kelsey to add the information about the English requirements for coming as an international student into a graduate program at Royal Roads. So key dates for the MBA for the 18 or 31 months, our next intake will be July 19, 2021. And the application deadline will be April 19 of the next year. For the MGM on campus, you can do either 12 or 18 months. Our next intake will be May 3rd, and the deadline will be February the 3rd. And after that, we have September the 6th for the blended model. And also September the 6th, it will be for on-campus students as well. If you are looking into a September intake, our deadline will be on June the 6th. So for first-time applicants, so if this is the first time you're applying to Royal Roads and you are looking into either the MGM or the MBA program, you need to complete an online application. The cost of that online application is $126.28. Once you complete that online application, you need to submit the following documents. You can submit these documents in any order, but I'm going to list it in a way that I know it makes sense for a lot of students. The first one are the official transcripts. To be official, they have to come in a sealed envelope. And I know things with the pandemic has changed. And I know some universities will give you or institutions will give you the option to send the documents directly to Royal Roads. So if you have that option, I highly recommend to use that option so you can check the first box of the documents that you need to submit. When we are looking for official transcripts, we're looking for any official transcripts or undergrad or grad school courses that you have been taking or you have taken. The next document is a detailed resume. I always tell people this document is the first option for you to tell us about your story, who you are. We want to know about your education, any credit or non-credit education that you have completed. We want to know about your work experience. In the work experience, it's very important that you give us a little paragraph or a bullet points about what each of the jobs, what kind of responsibilities you had and how maybe your job evolved and changed. We want to know about any hobbies or any affiliations or associations that you are part of. So as I said, this is the first opportunity for you to tell us about your story. As you can see, we are asking for a lot of information in that resume. So it's very common for people to submit resumes that are longer, they're more than 2 pages. So if your resume, you are typing this resume, getting ready to apply to Royal Roads, and maybe it's around 3 to 4 pages, don't worry. We are looking and seeking for all that information. The next document is a personal statement or a statement of intent. And I have to say that was my favorite document when I applied to Royal Roads. And the reason is it was a time for me to pause and ask myself, what was my motivation to apply to this program? what do I wanted to achieve, what also I was going to bring into the program. So if you are applying to the MGM or the MBA, there might be some specific questions that you need to ask to answer in this personal statement that you can find them in our website. But basically, we want to learn about your motivation and what you are going to be bringing into the program. And the last document are 2 letters of reference. They can be one academic and one professional. However, if you have been out of school for a long time, you can always submit 2 professional letters. They have to come from the email, for the professional email of the person that is writing that letter. A tip that I was given when I was writing my application is, if you feel comfortable, please share your personal statement with those people that are writing your letters, so they have a better understanding what is your motivation, and maybe they can talk about specific project or a specific situation that you work together in the workplace. If you are a current student or an alumni, please speak to our admissions team, because you might not need to submit all the documents. So please connect with them, and they will be able to support you, and we will assess each situation separately. So now I want to talk about financial aid. So please, I highly recommend that if you're planning to come to Royal Roads and you have been accepted, please reach out to our financial aid team. There are more options available that sometimes we are aware, depending on the city or the industry that we're working, the program that we're applying. So if you are curious to learn more about, please call them, our toll-free number is down there, or just send them an email to the financial aid team. I know Tracy, asking you a lot of things in this webinar, but if you can share, Tracy, with us the financial aid website and the email where people can connect with the financial aid team. They will be available to connect with you from Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4:30 Pacific time. And I know you have had the opportunity to meet Tracy and Kelsey in this webinar, but if you want to reach out to the Enrollment Advisors team, here you can find the toll-free number as well as their email, and they will be happy to connect with you and work with you to help you to understand what are the next steps that you need to give to become a Royal Roads student. And thank you, Tracy. She just posted the financial aid and awards contact, so you can reach out to them directly by email. As well, you can find the website on the chat box. I think now we can move to the section of questions. Charles or Deb, before we start answering some of the questions in the chat box, anything else that you would like to add today?
No, except it's great to see some folks that we know. And yeah, welcome former MGMers. And I see Charles and I are both answering the same question. Sorry for the duplication. We're just catching up to the chat. But yeah, throw it open to the audience.
And a number of MBA alums. And I think that to other people who are not yet started at Royal Roads, I mean, the interest of alumni in coming back to take the second program, I hope shows, the people enjoyed their experience at Royal Roads and are interested. And we hear that a lot. That's part of what we thought about when we were creating this program, is that we do hear from alums that they want to continue their learning journey as they go forward. So it as we say, it is an option. If you finish one program, you don't have to decide right away as you apply or as you're taking the program to do the dual degree at that time. You can choose to do that later after you graduate. And there will be cross-recognition of some courses, so you can move through the second program, but we've designed it so that you do the first set of, you enter the program with a cohort and you do the first set of courses together with the students who are also entering the cohort with you. So in MBA, because it's a blended program, you would do the 2 sort of core courses, leadership and organizational behavior, in the MBA program that kick off the first residency piece within MBA. And then you also do our capstone, which in MBA, the capstone piece is an opportunity where we have live company clients come in and you work in teams, like consulting teams, working together with those companies to provide feedback on different aspects of their internal and external business environment that they face and issues that those companies face. So you would do both of those residencies and both of those experiences. And then some of the other classes that occur in between online that are basically, as we say, unique to MBA and not covered as much in MGM. And for MGM program, you have both the blended option or the on-campus version of the program. And the courses that you would take, again, are the courses like intercultural management that are in the first residency, and also in that second residency that would be abroad. So we've tried to really make sure that you're part of the cohort. And those of you who are alumni know how important that is. You'll be part of the cohort, part of the teams as you move through the program. You just won't take every course. You won't have to suffer back through, some people love it, accounting, finance, and those courses, you won't have to take them twice. And you'll just have a little bit more space and time as you move through the programs. So we feel like we've tried to, really keep the unique parts of each program and the real advantages of each program while expediting it a bit to cross-recognize 6 courses across the 2 programs. And in the chat, some people were asked, at least one person was asking about seeing that curriculum. Contact the enrollment advisors. For everyone, encourage you to contact the enrollment advisors who'll be able to answer some questions and provide you some more detail. And it is in the slides. This is going to be available to you as a recording, and you'll receive that link after the session. But
and I see that
a number of questions here from Laura, Sarah, Prapti, Barka about the fees. So our courses are per tuition credit, are specific to each program. So if you know the courses you're taking, you go to the MBA or the MGM page, and that is the tuition for that course. So the tuition fees are discrete and unique to each program as well. And then there was a question from Adis about what is a GMP? Sorry for all of our acronyms. Global Management Project, like an OMP, Organizational Management Project, or an internship. The OMP and GMP are research-based programs. So they're a 6-credit course. You're guided through a research study. You're assigned a faculty to supervise your research. And you pick the topic. It's a very exciting time for people who want to go a little bit deeper and learn about a specific area and to build a kind of a body of knowledge, which is very differentiating when you go out into the workplace, or if you're being strategic about a particular industry or topic that you want to specialize in. So GMP, OMP are the research projects with 6 credits. Does Royal Roads accept other institutions' graduate certificates as part of the specialization? No. However, Olga, we do have a special arrangement with MITx MicroMaster program, and we will recognize some credits for they have supply chain management, development, international development, and what's the third one, Charles? Principles of management, I think.
Yeah, there's 5. There's finance, principles of manufacturing, supply chain, the data science, and then the international development data analysis. So those, but yes, if you've done I see you're in Edmonton, if you've done a graduate certificate, say from a school in Alberta, we do not recognize those credits into the program. Now, if you've done a graduate certificate from Royal Roads, and you can do that graduate certificate before you enter either MGM or MBA, and those credits will transfer into the program. So that would be one of the requirements for either program, and it would count either as your completion option, that's what we call it in MGM, or your specialization in MBA. So basically, you do a graduate certificate plus one of the research focused areas, the OMP, the Organizational Management Project, which you can look on the MBA website and see more about that and some examples of topics that people have done for companies. The GMP, as Deb just explained, for the MGM program, or the internship research project for students who are interested in that through MGM. And you can use that research project and is a requirement to complete the dual degree.
Priyanka has a good question. Do you recognize a chartered accountant degree from ICAI India? We have precedent to recognize that for exemption in the one course of accounting. We look at each student application directly. So yes, that can be done, but we would review your documentation and get you an approval.
I know Adam had his hand raised for a little bit, so Adam, I'm curious if you wanted to use maybe the microphone to share any information or ask a question, please let us know. Or if you have a question that we haven't answered, please feel free to type on the chat box and we will make sure that we get back to you.
While that happens, Hamad's asking, what's student life like? Oh, it's wonderful. But it's about the relationships, right? And we do have vibrant student services, a whole group that organize lots of activities. We've got, on campus, physical fitness. We've got, lots of fun things happening. Right now, of course, we're in COVID, so it's a little bit of a different environment, but we're still continuing on with lots of those activities. We do not have accommodation options though, but student services can also support with links to homestays in the community as well.
So, and Laura has a good question here about what's the average age of people in the program. So for MBA, because you require at least 7 years of work experience, and most people have even more than that. So the average age in the MBA program is probably 38. Now that's an average. So there's some people maybe starting from 30 to 60. So there's a range of people in the program, but I would say in general, people are say in their late 30s, 40s, and have a significant amount of work experience. A little bit younger in the
MGM, just a little bit younger, but still that wide range, Charles. So, we tend to see, people, more early professionals in their 30s. I think the youngest had been 28, but we also have lots of people in the 40s. And so, it all depends. And, our cohort size is quite intimate too. Like we typically have, groups of, say, 25 to 30 in a class. So it's a great intimate environment for learning.
One thing on the tuition, people asking that question, and you can go on the Royal Roads website, and it has tuition posted for the programs. Remember that that's tuition for the programs. And so that's approximately the tuition that you would pay for the first program you take, but the tuition that you would pay for the second program will be less because you won't be taking all of the courses in the program. So there will be kind of a discount on the tuition of the second program because of the cross recognition of courses. So you only pay for the courses that you actually take in each program.
Here's a good question about, what's a day in the life like? What's a week? So Graham's, in MGM, you're taking 3 courses at a time. And in the on-campus program, we would typically schedule 1 class per week. Each class is 3 hours. So that would, be, you could sort of add up the number of hours per week for synchronous in-class time, but then, maybe consider 20, 25 hours per week additional study time. In the blended program, we offer both synchronous and asynchronous sessions through our platform, our collaborate platform. And so, typically that could be once a week too for a synchronous class, and then lots of activities online to complement. So yeah, day in the week of.
A couple of
Oh, go ahead,
a
Charles.
couple of new MGM. I guess there was some MGM orientation going on. So a couple of students who are in the, it looks like MGM January 21st, 21 intake. So yes, you can, as we reiterated, you can watch the full webinar. You can apply at any time to MBA. So there's not, you're going to be in MGM for over a year before you would even start. It would be into late 2022 before you would even start the MBA. So you have a lot of time and you can apply later once you're already started your MGM program.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ash and Christian. Look forward to seeing you. In January, we're going to do a session next week already to get to know you a little bit better. Returning to campus, none of us knows what's going to happen with pandemic, but for MGM program, currently all of our classes are online. We have a graduated return starting to occur. We have one finance class face-to-face in January, and we're reviewing what's going to happen in the second quarter, which should be in May. Trying to make sure we're mindful around protecting in postgraduate work permit, with IRCC too. So you need to take at minimum 50% of your program while in Canada. And Kelsey can talk about that as well. And yeah, so unknown, but we would love to return when it's safe, and we are guided by Health Canada and our BC regulations. Recently, we granted an honorary degree to our BC Health champion, Dr. Bonnie Henry, and so that was fun. So we have a close relationship with the authorities, and our president is actively engaged in what does it look like to come back.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you, Charles. So I just want to let everybody know that this session has been recorded, and we will be sharing the link hopefully by today, if not later on Monday. So please keep your eyes for that email coming to you. And if you have any questions after this session, please feel free to reach out to Tracy if you are a domestic student, or Kelsey directly if you are an international student. And yeah, anything else that you would like to add, like last thoughts, Deb and Charles, before we close the session today?
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you on campus and double up your education, but also we're very thrilled to see you in MGM MBA and to see some of our alumni. We have those long-lasting relationships that just makes me smile.
Yeah, and anyone who has deeper questions about some of the program aspects and specialization options, and some of the alumni who are considering this, feel free to reach out to Deb or myself directly, and we can talk with you about the program and courses and cross-reference you. Sometimes people are asking about different specialization options or different graduate certificates, and we can try to give you some information and maybe connect you to some people there. And anyone from one program, again, who's interested in the other program, a little bit unsure or what the differences might be, we can connect you with some alumni or others from the program you're interested in, and just give you a little richer idea of how the program runs and what might make it different from across. So.
Yeah, one last question. Amit says, can we do a doctorate afterward? Absolutely. We have a doctorate of business administration and a doctorate of social science. Lifelong learning, that's our tagline. Life.changing and lifelong learning. Thank you for your well wishes, and best to all of you.
Thank you, Deb and Charles, so much for co-hosting this session and providing all the details about this dual degree opportunity to everybody that joined us on this live session, or that is going to be watching this recording link later next week. Thank you to Tracy and Kelsey that help us answering all the questions about the enrollment and admissions component on the chat box. And thank you to my colleagues, Samara and Christy, that were helping us in the tech area during this session. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend and hope to see you soon at Royal Roads.
Thanks all. Bye now.
Okay, bye. Have a great day.